Hi there, my name is Charlotte Northeast, and I want to thank Edward Pettit and the Rosenbach for inviting me to be a part of this year's Bloomsday. I will be reading Molly Bloom's speech in Chapter 18, Penelope, and if you're familiar with this work, which I'm sure you all are, I have taken the artistic liberty of inserting my own punctuation into the speech. Please forgive any artistic license taken, it's all mine. So here we go. No, that's no way for him. He has no manners, nor no refinement, nor nothing in his nature slapping us behind like that, on my bottom. Because I didn't call him Hugh, the ignoramus, that doesn't know poetry from a cabbage. That's what you get for not keeping them in their proper place, pulling off his shoes and trousers there on the chair before me, so barefaced, without even asking permission, and standing out in that vulgar way in the half of a shirt they wear to be admired, like a priest or a butcher or those old hypocrites in the time of Julius Caesar. Of course, he's right enough in his way to pass the time as a joke. Sure, you might as well be in bed with what? With a lion. God, I'm sure he'd have something better to say for himself. An old lion would. Oh, well. I suppose it's because they were so plump and tempting in my short petticoat he couldn't resist. They excite myself sometimes. It's well for men, all the amount of pleasure they get off a woman's body. We're so round and white for them. Always I wished I was one myself for a change, just to try with that thing they have swelling up on you so hard and at the same time so soft when you touch it. My Uncle John had a thing. Long. I heard one of those corner boys saying, passing the comer of Marrowbone Lane, my Aunt Mary has a thing hairy because it was dark. And they knew a girl was passing. It didn't make me blush. Why should it either? It's only nature, and he puts his thing long into my Aunt Mary's hairy, etc. And turns out to be you put the handle in a sweeping brush. Men, again all over, they can pick and choose what they please. A married woman or a fast widow or a girl for their different tastes. They like those houses behind Irish Street. No. But we're always to be chained up. They're not going to be chaining me up. No damn fear once I start. I tell you, for their stupid husbands, it's jealousy. Why can't we all remain friends over it instead of quarrelling? Her husband found it out. What they did together. Well, naturally. And if he did, can he undo it? He's Coronado anyway, whatever he does. And then he'd go into the other mad extreme about the wife and fair tyrants, of course. The man never even casts a second thought on the husband or wife. Either it's the woman he wants and he gets her. What else were we given all these desires for? I'd like to know. Can't help it if I'm young. Still, can I? It's a wonder I'm not an old shriveled hag before my time, living with him. So cold, never embracing me except sometimes when he's asleep. The wrong end of me. Not knowing, I suppose, who he has. Any man that'd kiss a woman's bottom, I'd throw my hat at him. After that, he'd kiss anything unnatural. We haven't one atom of any kind of expression in us all. Of us the same two lumps of lard before I'd ever do that to a man. Dirty brutes. The mere thought is enough. I kiss the feet of you, señorita. There's some sense in that, didn't he? Kiss our hall door. Yes, he did. What a madman. Nobody understands his cracked ideas but me. Still, of course, a woman wants to be embraced 20 times a day, almost to make her look young, no matter by who. So long as it's to be in love or loved by somebody. If the fellow you want isn't there sometimes, by the Lord God, I was thinking, would I go around by the quays there some dark evening where nobody'd know me and pick up a sailor off the sea? That'd be hot on it for it, and not care a pin whose I was, only do it off up in a gate somewhere. Or one of those wild-looking gypsies in Rathfarnham and had their camp pitched near the Bloomfield Laundry to try and steal our things if they could. I only sent mine there a few times for the name model laundry send me back over and over. Some old ones, odd stockings, that blackguard-looking fellow with the fine eyes peeling a switch and tack me in the dark and ride me up against the wall without a word. Or a murderer. Anybody. What they do themselves, the fine gentlemen, in their silk hats. That KC lives up somewhere this way, coming out of Hardwick Lane the night he gave us the fish supper on account of winning over the boxing match. Of course it was for me he gave it. I knew him by his gaiters and the walk, and when I turned round a minute after just to see, there was a woman coming out of it too, some filthy prostitute. Then he goes home to his wife after that. Only I suppose the half of those sailors are rotten again with disease. Move over, your big carcass, out of that, for the love of Mike. Listen to him. The winds that waft my sighs to thee, so well he may sleep and sigh. The great suggester Don Polo de la Florida, if he knew how he came out of the cards this morning, he'd have something to sigh for. Dark man in some perplexity between 2 sevens, 2 in prison, for Lord knows what he does. That I don't know. And I'm to be slooching around down in the kitchen to get his lordship his breakfast while he's rolled up like a mummy. Will I indeed? Did you ever see me running? I'd just like to see myself at it. Show them attention. And they treat you like dirt. I don't care what anybody says. It'd be much better for the world to be governed by the women in it. You wouldn't see women going and killing one another and slaughtering. When do you ever see women rolling around drunk like they do, or gambling every penny they have nothing and losing it on horses? Yes, because a woman, whatever she does, she knows where to stop. Sure, they wouldn't be in the world at all only for us. They don't know what it is to be a woman and a mother. How could they? Where would they, all of them, be if they hadn't all had a mother to look after them? What I never had. So I suppose he's running wild now at night, away from his books and studies, and not living at home on account of the usual rowy house, I suppose. It's a poor case that those that have a fine son like that, they're not satisfied. And I none. Was he not able to make one? It wasn't my fault. We came together when I was watching the 2 dogs up in her behind in the middle of the naked street. That disheartened me altogether. I suppose I oughtn't to have buried him in that little woolly jacket I knitted, crying as I was, but give it to some poor child, but I knew well I'd never have another. First death, too, it was. We were never the same since. I'm not going to think myself into the glooms about that anymore. I wonder why he wouldn't stay the night. I felt all the time it was somebody strange he brought in instead of roving around the city meeting God knows who, night walkers and pickpockets. His poor mother wouldn't like that if she was alive. Ruin himself for life, perhaps. Still, it is a lovely hour. So silent. I used to love coming home after dances. The air of the night. They have friends they can talk to. We've none. Either he wants what he won't get, or it's some woman ready to stick her knife in you. I hate that in women. Wonder they treat us the way they do. We are a dreadful lot of bitches. I suppose it's all the troubles we have makes us so snappy. I'm not like that. He could easily have slept in there on the sofa in the other room. I suppose he was as shy as a boy, he being so young, hardly 20. of me in the next room, he'd have heard me on the chamber. Oh, what harm, Daedalus, I wonder. It's like those names in Gibraltar, Dela Paz, Dela Gracia. They had the devil's queer names there. Father Villaplana, Santa Maria, they gave me the rosary, Rosalie O'Reilly, and they called it Siete Revolutas, and then Simbo, and Mrs. Opiso in Governor Street. Oh, what a name. I'd go and drown myself in the first river if I had a name like her. And all the bits of streets, Paradise rampant, Bedlam rampant, Rogers rampant, Crutchets rampant, the Devil's Gap steps. Well, small blame to me if I am a harum scarum. I know I am a bit. I declare to God I don't feel a day older than I wonder, could I get my tongue around any of the Spanish? ¿Cómo está usted? Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y usted? See, I haven't forgotten it all. I thought I had only for the grammar. A noun is the name of any person, place, or thing. It's a pity I never tried to read that novel Cantankerous Mrs. Rubio lent me by Valera with the questions in it all upside down. The two ways I always knew we'd go away in the end. I can tell him the Spanish and he tell me the Italian, then he'll see I'm not so ignorant. Pity he didn't stay. I'm sure the poor fellow was dead tired and wanted a good sleep badly. I could have brought him his breakfast in bed with a bit of toast so long as I didn't do it on the knife or bad luck, or if the woman was going her rounds with the watercress and something else nice and tasty. There were a few olives in the kitchen he might like. I never could bear the look of them in Aberdeen. I could do the criada. The room looks all right since I changed it the other way. You see, something was telling me all the time I'd have to introduce myself, not knowing me from Aben. Pretty funny, wouldn't it? I'm his wife. Or pretend we were in Spain with him half awake without a God's notion where he is. Dos nuevos estralados, senor. Lord, the cracked things come into my head sometimes. It'd be great fun supposing he stayed with us. Why not? There's the room upstairs empty and Millie's bed in the back room. He could do his writing and studies at the table in there, for all the scribbling he does at it. And if he wants to read in bed in the morning like me, as he's making the breakfast for one, well, he can make it for two. I'm sure I'm not going to take in lodgers off the street for him if he takes a gazabo over a house like this. I'd love to have a long walk with him, and an intelligent, well-educated person. I'd have to get a nice pair of red slippers, like those Turks with the fez used to sell, or yellow, and a nice semi-transparent morning gown that I badly want, or a peach blossom dressing jacket like the one long ago in Walpole's, only 8/6 or 18/6. I'll give him just one more chance. So, thank you, everyone. I hope I didn't mangle it too badly. And again, thank you to the Rosenbach, and happy Bloomsday from the Rosenbach. Take care.